What a fucking night. Tonight. Oh my god, I've got some little vlogs to do tonight. Got some mean ones. Was it full moon tonight? Holy hell. Fuck out of here. What's here? Yeah. It's Joe's juice joint. Well, first one, I was tasked with finding a gentleman that had been refused service. Couldn't locate him because of the amount of patrons in the pub. Whilst a little while later I was standing in my position in the middle of the bar, and I noticed the gentleman very, very unsteady on his feet, and I spoke to my supervisor, my colleague. It was agreed that this was the man we were trying to find. I approached the man, patron. I says to him that he was drinking, he had been cut off earlier, and that he would have to leave. He was given time to finish his drink. Once he was probably about an inch away from drinking his drink, he became argumentative, decided that he wasn't drunk, even though he displayed slurred speech, unsteady on his feet, was very argumentative. And after 3 or 4 times of kindly talking with him, he decided to become aggressive and refuse to leave. It was then decided by the supervisor to remove him if he didn't go by himself, which he didn't want to go. So he was sort of cuddled towards the door. He went all stiff, drew his guns, took his fists, clenched his fist, and started to try to assault me. So he was placed in light restraint. Once he was halfway to the door, he became more aggressive and continued his tirade of abuse, or denial, really, a denial of being intoxicated. Was very unreasonable and attempted to throw a couple of punches. He was placed in light restraint again and moved out the door, where he was released and he decided to try and re-enter. Once he was stopped by the door staff, I went back in. He also then started to be aggressive to them. That was one. Second one, I was in my position. Was told by a bar manager that a man had been cut off. Was directed to let the man finish his beer. As I was waiting, his friend started to argue that his friend wasn't drunk and said that he won't be leaving. I told his friend that he is going to be leaving, as he had been instructed to finish his drink. He was given time to finish his drink. As the friend became verbally aggressive and reiterated the denial of being intoxicated, the decision was made by the supervisor to remove the man. As the situation was escalating, people around him were starting to jump in, and his friend had become very adamant that he's not going anywhere, that the door staff had no right to say that he's drunk when he's not drunk. The man couldn't stand up. He was holding on to his friend to stand up and nearly pulling his mate over. He was that unsteady on his feet. The man had somehow got past the door staff, entered the premises late, and had been drinking somewhere else. I then, with the help of the supervisor, started moving the man towards the door. He did try to strike myself and my colleague. Became very, very aggressive, and restraint was used to stop him hitting me. For my own safety, I took that action to grab his hands and put him in a arm restraint, finger restraint, wrist restraint. Once at the door, his friend became aggressive, very argumentative, and approached me, coming right up to my face, had his hands behind his back. I did push him away. He fell over backwards over the barricading. Meanwhile, the drunkest patron decided to assault. He grabbed my colleague by the throat. Another guard came to my colleague's aid to restrain the gentleman, or the patron. It wasn't very gentle. He then decided to fight on, so there was a couple of more altercations. I had returned back inside the pub to my position to maintain my observation of guests. What a wild night. It was a quarter moon. I started to ask everyone, is it a full moon? I think a total of 15 or so evictions. One English tourist got assaulted in the toilet by another Englishman. Quite a nice young chappie, very, very, very smooth looking dude. It seems to be the trait at that pub is to, these staunch people, is to attack them in the toilet. Get easy kills. I was in my position. This one I was lightly involved with. In the case of me being called to the front door, urgent. When I emerged through the door onto the street, I saw a Caucasian man that had a bloody cut on his bridge of his nose, possibly a broken nose. He was being very aggressive to the other guards. The other guard was told to go inside. I was left in front of him. I put my hands up, both hands up, in a surrendering position around about my neck height, and pleaded with the man to stop his aggressive behaviour, all because he was being evicted from the bar for intoxication. He advanced on me quite hard, and a gentleman came out of the crowd, pushed the patron with the broken nose away from me, and continued to push him down the street. The gentleman that came out of the crowd kept going, went too far with it, and he was a very, very thick-set, very muscly guy, a lot of tats. He then assaulted the guy. I didn't actually see the strike, but the man was unconscious for about 10-15 minutes. At one stage, there was talk that his life was in fear and possibly had hit the ground fairly hard with his head. Very unfortunate. Crazy Northbridge. After I was back in my position, the supervisor came and spoke with me and said that he just had a discussion with two bar managers, that I had gone, for one patron, I had gone hands-on too quickly, and they would have a talk with me after the shift. I told the supervisor that these bar staff don't realise the immediate danger we are putting ourselves in place for when we do these removals. For me, it is a control for my own safety. If I feel the patron is tensing or closing his fists or starting to cock his arm into a position where he can strike my head, I go hands on and I do restrain the hands via a hand lock or a wrist lock. If I'm removing a glass from a person's hand because I'm in fear of that being used as a weapon on me, if I remove a glass, I do it because I'm protecting my own safety. If I grab a man's arms, if I put him into a wrist lock or a finger lock, I'm doing it to protect myself. I told the supervisor that, and he agreed, and well, the managers didn't talk to me. Maybe they still might talk to me. Maybe I will be asked to not come back again. Quite frankly, after the last 2 nights where they had very big crowds, I am honestly questioning if the $27.95 an hour is worth what they're doing. 20 years ago I worked pubs and clubs in the Illawarra and Sydney and Brisbane, going back a number of years to 88. Off and on I've worked many venues, clubs and pubs. I feel I'm fairly experienced, and I know that if I have to do an eviction, I will protect myself very quickly once I pick up that the man or woman is starting to be aggressive towards me. All in all, I nearly got punched tonight, thanks to my colleague Kane, great man, great leader, very brave man, he stopped me getting punched by holding the man's arms. I seen that. Value his friendship probably for a lifetime, whether I'm working with him or not. He's a top bloke. Same with Maxie, very brave. Maxie shows abnormal strength for a little fella. Very nice man, Max. Anyway, another day. I tend to after these violent nights, I tend to get a bit of anxiety and start to think about not going to work in this environment. But it's fun, funny enough. It's it's okay, but deep down I guess I know that my day's going to come. Like the man that KO'd on the concrete tonight, wondering if that can happen. No, it can't happen, because I install the appropriate controls to look after my life and limb. I don't take chances. If they say I go hands on early, and they say it, that's fine. They don't have to have me working back there. I'll go and get some other job, I hope. Anyway, take care, stay safe, and be in it.